Hey, what's up everyone? This is part 2 of my video of how to make Southern crispy fried chicken. Now, if you want to know how to make this chicken, please watch the video because this chicken is crispy and good. Okay, let's get started. If you recall, in the first part of my video in part 1, I took the chicken and I did the cutting up and I seasoned it and I put it in the vacuum seal and froze it. If you haven't seen this video, you can go to the end of this video to the link and look at part 1. This is part 2, how to deep fry your chicken. So, let's get started. Now, this is what the chicken looks like after you take it out of the freezer. This is what's the one that I did before, which I cut up and I prepared it and I put all the seasoning in it. So yes, it's nice and soft and all the seasonings in there with the oils and everything. So it's perfect. This is a perfect marinated chicken. Now I make 2 batters. I make what's called a wet batter and a dry batter. We're gonna work with the wet batter first. This is how you make the wet batter. First, you start with your dry ingredients, which is, you can use like an all-purpose flour. I get about 1.5 cups of flour, and I add garlic salt to it, black pepper, then I add onion powder, and basil, and a little paprika. Okay, now you want to mix all of this up. This is how it looks. And you mix this up. And you want to mix your dry ingredients up first. So and that's how it looks. Now you want to add some milk. Now back at home you add buttermilk, but I use warm milk, and I add warm milk to my flour. You want the texture of this kind of like in the same texture if you was making pancakes. So you want the texture sort of like this. You want to make sure that you mix it and don't have any lumps in it, because that's the flour that's not mixed. So that's the texture. This is the texture you want to have when you make your wet ingredients. Okay, now we get to the chicken. Kids. The chicken is well seasoned. You can smell all the spices, the oils, everything in the chicken. So you just want to add these in here. Add them all together. Okay, now next you want to take this and you want to mix this batter with the chicken thoroughly. You want this to bathe into the batter. You want this to bathe correctly into the batter. So you just have this in the batter like that. That's the first step. Okay, now we get to step 2, which is the dry batter. All right, now, next is the dry ingredient. So I use what's called a half and half ratio. My half and half ratio is 2 cups of flour, and 2 cups of cornmeal. Now, once you get the half and half ratio, you add the garlic salt to that. And you add the pepper to that. Looks like that. All right, so we have our wet batter and our dry batter. So in this process of doing my deep fried chicken, I take the wet batter, which is this piece of chicken. I'll show you one time. I take this chicken here and I drop it into the dry batter. Once I get it in here, I turn it over a few times. Then I shake it off, and then that goes into the deep fryer. And that's how I make my extra crispy fried chicken. Now, let me show you how I do that. Let's go. Now you can put 2 or 3 pieces in at a time. I don't want to do no more than 2 pieces because you don't want your oil to cool down. You want to keep the oil as a very steady high temperature without making it too hot or making it too cool. So I can do about 3 pieces at a time. And you got to be careful about your oil. You don't want your oil to overflow and come over. It will cause fire. Mmm. Mmm.